Hello. Today's Torah portion is Shmini, and it's in Leviticus, and it begins on the 8th day. The 8th day of after the tabernacle was first established. It's the 8th day of Nisan. The tabernacle is established on the first day of Nisan, so actually, according to the Hebrew calendar, it's very close to where we are. It's just a few days or a week before where we are right now. Anyway, the story begins with the dedication of the tabernacle. The first sacrifices, a fire comes down from heaven to accept the sacrifices. All of the nation is gathered around the tabernacle as the tabernacle is dedicated. And then a horrific tragedy happens. Two of Aaron's sons take a strange fire, take it before God, it says. A strange fire they bring before God, and God immediately strikes them dead. It is a very troubling situation, and it is very unclear as to exactly what happened. What is the strange fire? What is it that these two sons of Aaron, Nadav and Abihu, did to deserve this terrible death? And I'm not going to deal with that right now because that really is a very complicated issue. But what I just want to deal with is the response that we see of both Moses and Aaron. Moses turns to Aaron and he says to him, "This is as God has said. I will be sanctified through those closest to me, and before all the nation I will be honored." And Aaron was silent. This is in Leviticus chapter 10, verse 3. A very, very interesting comment, very difficult to understand. But I take from this statement some very powerful significance, some very powerful meanings that I think we can all take with us. Moses is trying to find meaning. And what he's trying to communicate to his brother Aaron in the face of this terrible tragedy is meaning. Meaning that those who come closest to God, and in this sense, Nadav and Abihu, in the most physical way, were trying to come close to God. Maybe they tried to come too close to God. They brought a fire that they should not have brought. They may have gone into the Holy of Holies, a place where they dared not enter. They came close to God, but they came close to God in a wrong way at a wrong time, and therefore could not survive. And God is saying something about those who come closest to him, even when tragedy strikes them, there is a certain sanctification that has happened in that process. And when I think over the centuries of Jewish history and those righteous people who came close and wanted to be even closer to God, and yet were martyred and were murdered by anti-Semites, and who went through some of the most horrific experiences. And as those people look and see and question, how could this happen? There's meaning in this statement. God often chooses those closest to him to sacrifice them. Why? We don't know. Will there be an ultimate sanctification of God's name as a result? Maybe. Sometimes when these people were murdered, they were murdered because they were Jews and they stood proud as Jews, and therefore you can say there was a sanctification of God's name, but it's never clear and it's never easy. And so Moses' statement tries to find meaning, but at the end Aaron is silent. Does he see the meaning? Perhaps, but at the end of the day it is Aaron who has lost his two sons. And therefore, he doesn't argue, he doesn't resist, he doesn't yell or scream or cry or say to Moses, "What are you talking about?" He is silent because he understands that at some level, God is doing something holy and pure, and yet as a father, he doesn't understand it. He is going to accept it, but he cannot see the meaning in it at this point, and therefore he is silent. Isn't this a message for us as we witness or we deal with our own issues and we question, how is it that God has done what he has done? We need to seek meaning, and even when we don't find the meaning, we need to accept that this is God's way and find and believe and hope that one day we will find meaning and we will come to understand it. This has been a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. Shabbat Shalom.